Hello and welcome to the All About You show with OMG and Friends, where we talk about the things that you think about and some things you don't. I am your host, OMG, along with my co-host,
Daydream.
We also have a special studio guest in here sitting in the rotating chair. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Steve Whitfield is my name. I'm originally from St. Louis, the Loop. At this present moment, they have invited me in here so kindly to give a little bit of discord just because I have a pharmacist license. I don't know why. But at the same time, I've been practicing about 45 years. And
That's why.
maybe that could be right. And at the same time, I've been in Houston since 72.
Okay.
So take that for a note.
So you're a native.
Yes.
At this point.
At this point. As always, family, we'd like to thank you for joining us, and we ask that you please join in on the conversation, where your thoughts, your comments, and your opinions help drive the conversation. Today, our topic is what plagues us. Now, what I want to do first is take a look at what the Bible says about plagues. Okay, various outbreaks of pandemic diseases such as Ebola or the coronavirus has prompted many to ask why God allows or even causes pandemic diseases and whether such illnesses are a sign of the end times. The Bible, particularly the Old Testament, describes numerous occasions when God brought plagues and diseases on his people and his enemies to make you see his power. He used plagues on Egypt to force Pharaoh to free the Israelites from bondage while sparing his people from being affected by them. Now, God also warned his people of the consequences of disobedience, including plagues. This can be found in Leviticus. The earlier statement I just made can be found in Exodus, including plagues. On 2 occasions, God destroyed numerous amount of people because they were in fact displaying various ways and acts of disobedience. Now, I'm still low.
I think you shrunk.
My chair's going down, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, I couldn't even reach the mic. Now, y'all know to do my little thing here. Now, what is coronavirus? Now, the name of coronavirus comes from its shape, which resembles a crown or solar corona when imaged using an electron microscope. Now, solar corona is just what it says. Solar meaning sun, corona meaning aura. Now, coronavirus is transmitted through the air and primarily infects the upper respiratory and gastrointestinal tract of mammals and birds. Though most of the members of a coronavirus family only cause mild flu-like symptoms during infections such as SARS, which is severe acute respiratory syndrome. MERS, which is Middle East respiratory syndrome, can infect both your upper and your lower airways and cause severe respiratory illnesses, severe inflammation, and other complications in humans. Now, the pathogenic responsible for this pandemic is a new coronavirus. Now, snakes, the Chinese crate and the Chinese cobra may be the original source of this newly discovered coronavirus, which has triggered an outbreak of a deadly infectious respiratory illness in China last winter. Now, the illness was first reported in late December of 2019 in Wuhan, a major city in central China, and has been rapidly spreading. Now, since then, sick travelers from Wuhan have infected people in China, other countries, as well as including the United States. And the World Health Organization has named the new coronavirus 2019 COV. Guys, I guess we're all kind of getting this information, but more importantly, the virologists use an analysis of the protein codes favored by the new coronavirus and compared it to the protein codes from coronaviruses found in different animal hosts such as birds, snakes, marmots, hedgehogs, mantis, bats, and humans. Now, surprisingly, they found that the protein codes in the 2019 N, which is novel coronavirus, are most similar to those used in snakes. Now, snakes often hunt for bats in the wild, so reports indicate that snakes were sold in the local seafood in Wuhan, raising the possibilities that the 2019 nCoV might have jumped from the host species, which were bats, to snakes and then to humans at the beginning of this coronavirus outbreak. Now, in China, they do eat snakes on a stick. If you can believe that. So
they eat a bunch of things on a stick.
They do.
I mean, that's kind of what they're known for. It's just they're exotic.
Well, just wild stuff. They eat cats,
yeah.
they eat dogs, they eat a bunch of other things.
But
as
it's
well.
not even just in China. So even in Mexico, up in the mountains, you have rabbits and snakes.
Well, yeah,
and,
rabbits,
and rodents, and I mean, it's all about survival. So for them to say, oh, well, you know, it's because people are starting. No, people are not starting to eat exotic meats. It's always been that way. It's just now you have facilities where you can create something out of that.
I wonder why the bats and snakes are dying.
Okay.
From coronavirus.
Exactly. And coronavirus, okay, when I initially heard about it, my first thought was coronavirus is part of a vaccine that you give to your dogs.
I know you mentioned that.
If you look, in that package, if you actually go through and read, DHPP, Parvo, Corona, and DHOP, and I forget what else is in there, but they're all variations of a dog cold or a dog flu.
Okay.
So when it initially came out, I was like, okay, well, what's the problem?
Let's see, I brought my Lysol thing because every week when we come to the show, we wipe down
Correct.
our areas and everything. But on the back of here, it does say something about the human coronavirus. So basically, they've known about this virus since the 1960s. And
Correct.
Here we are,
It's nothing new.
Here we are, 60 years later, and you don't have anything.
Right. Yeah, that's so very true. The
Yeah.
thing is that viruses are what I know is man-made, but at the same time you have RNA specific, DNA specific, and they are proteins derived from those. So you got the biological and you have the inadvertent.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's just amazing that, I don't know if I believe that this is part of a biblical prophecy that has been displayed in the Bible in Revelation somewhere, where they think that this is, may just be prophecy fulfilling itself, and or if this is man-made. Most people that I talk to think that it is man-made.
I agree.
I agree too.
And so for what reason do you think that they would haphazardly
I have to say during warfare.
Okay.
Germ warfare,
Population
control,
absolutely.
fear mongering. People are starting. I guess people are starting to come to the realization to do their own research. Find out information on their own and question things, and so they're trying to reel us back in and.
They don't want you to know
dumb
too
us
much.
back down. Absolutely
they're
not.
not keeping you dumbed down, and we've been very successful at being dumbed down.
Absolutely.
Well,
So
people have gotten really more spiritually involved, not only spiritually involved, but internet involved and internet savvy.
True.
So
Right.
people have
Right.
gotten more educated as far as what's going on quicker and faster, and the government, whatever, has not been able to keep up with the internet.
But they released the internet to us when they were fully capable of hacking it and doing all that they could do with it. But I think they know they're monitoring just about everything.
absolutely,
so-
and I think that's also the reason why there's so much contradiction.
Yeah, because
It's
nothing
because
is
there's-
consistent.
When
in this
social media
process.
initially came out, we didn't want to use it. We questioned it, and then it just got real convenient and basically just convenient. Okay,
Yeah, I've never
I don't
liked
have to do any research because I can just look it up on Google, and Google will tell me whatever I want.
Well, see, that makes you
I
lazy.
don't have to question anything because Siri tells me this, and so I just go with what Siri tells me. And I feel like people are becoming more woke, just being a little bit more intelligent and less complacent and starting to research things more. And then now we have warnings on our social media that they censor people's content.
Oh, okay.
And they'll even have notes on there, partially false information
Really?
researched and things.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
And it had to do with coronavirus because someone was actually trying to post a video where they show the Lysol cans and the different disinfectants and things that are used for it, and how coronavirus has always been on there.
It's on the back of here.
Right. And so Facebook was censoring that. They were having issues posting that
Well,
video.
I think Facebook is inextricably tied to the government.
Of
And
course
on
it is.
on that tip, I think we've got to go to break. We'll be
Yes,
right back.
we'll be right back.
How long will I break?
When we come back, Joy, I'm going to do a live read. This is Sammy's story part.
Okay. Yes,
You said I couldn't. You said I couldn't.
Oh yeah, that'll be an issue.
I'm trying to watch my
I know,
etiquette.
right?
You know.
Okay, we're coming back on in about 10 seconds.
I feel like a big girl. I had my chest off.
That was hilarious. I didn't realize how far down you had
I
fallen.
was like, oh my God. I was like, I'm going down like this and I'm steady talking. I'm going down.
Alright, in 3, 2, and 1, Cole Reed.
Live racing continues at Sam Houston Race Park with our 2020 live thoroughbred racing meet. Friday is 50-cent beer from 6 to 9 p.m. Sweets for as low as $2.99. Winter Circle Restaurant is the best deal in town. The wild and wacky camel and ostrich races return on both Friday and Saturday night. Camel and ostrich races take place in between live racing events. First post times on Friday and Saturday are at 6:45 p.m. Visit shrp.com for this season's full live racing calendar and promotions. Platinum partner Bud Light. Please drink responsibly.
That's big fun, guys. The racetrack is really big fun for the family, especially the ostrich and the camel.
Yes,
and the
very
dog
excited. I'm
races
glad
and
they're
stuff like
having
that.
them on both
Yeah.
days. Absolutely.
And we are back. You listen to the All About You show. I am your host, OMG, along with my co-host
Daydream.
and our special guest.
Steve Whitfield.
Now, we're talking about what plagues us, which is, as you know, the coronavirus. At one point, when I first heard it, I heard about some animal that was in the open market at Wuhan, which is in central China, and they said that that was the host at one point. Then I heard bats, and now we're hearing snakes.
Correct.
Now, understood, snakes eat bats, so that could be the transference. But bottom line is, I'm wondering why the information is so inconsistent. That again tells me, come on, guys, y'all made this up. Get your
Absolutely.
story
It's called
straight.
looking for answers. You know. I mean, you got a lot of people asking questions.
Yeah.
And like I said, people have gotten a little bit smarter, but at the same time,
No
when
consistent
you
answers.
got inconsistent answers, inconsistent questions, inconsistent people, now you got a big problem.
Yeah, and that's where we are.
Yeah, that's
Pretty much where we are right now.
Right.
You know.
Thank you, everyone who's been tuning in so far. My mom, Mary. Hey, Mom.
Hey, Mom.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Festus, great to hear from you.
Hey, Festus.
We also have Roland Flores, Paul, Lalo, Eduardo, Eddie, and of course Dwight Brennan. Thank you
Hey,
so
Dwight.
much, guys, for tuning in.
Absolutely.
Give us a call here at the studio, 713-789-0096. You can also follow along on our Facebook feed. Your questions, your comments, you know, whether it's something that you've heard about the coronavirus or even if it's other quote-unquote airborne viruses that you've had experience with. Because I know we have a lot of military people who tune in on the station.
Okay, perfect.
And so all those vaccines and everything that they get hit with before they go on tour for any reason, I'm interested to hear what it is that they've received.
You know, I just read something where as whatever cases we may have in Houston, Texas, or where in the surrounding state, they are directing them to the military base in San Antonio.
Oh, really?
Correct. Yeah, at the Laughlin Air Force Base.
Yeah.
And what I've also understood and researched is that supposedly, allegedly, the only confirmed cases here in Texas are because they're quarantining. They have the quarantine area there at the base.
The ones that's reported.
Correct.
Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, well,
The ones that are reporting people.
Well, you know, at one point, I think now the numbers are up to 94,000 worldwide and almost 3,300 deaths. So we can't give any accurate numbers because as we give you any number, it is consistently changing. So the last that I heard before coming on the air, it was 94,300 and something, and then your 3,300 that have already,
It's kind of like
passed
a
away.
computer virus. I mean, you're getting the virus, and it's like every day.
It's just yeah, but I'm just trying to figure out how can this just get so out of hand again. Coronavirus has been around 60 years.
Right.
Come on now.
And I feel like a lot of it is just fear mongering because of social media. It's election time. Oh, all of a sudden we have
There's
this
a lot of
airborne
stuff going
virus
on.
that's
So is
causing
it.
a panic. Oh, how convenient.
Well,
no one
I
say
think,
connection?
I think
Well,
it's-
you know,
I think it's China's way of saying, listen, okay, you got Russia helping in the election. Now you got China
Going
defeating
against it.
against the grain because we don't want Trump in there again.
China
Absolutely.
isn't that a communist country? Russia
Yes.
is that not a communist country?
Both.
So lo and behold, how
Yeah.
It's all about convenience. I
Yeah.
do agree with that.
elections with a current president
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
linked to Russia,
Right.
linked
And has
to another
issues- and has
communist
issues with
country.
China.
And
Yeah,
has issues
absolutely.
with the
Is
economy.
with the economy, absolutely.
Yeah.
But China, we pretty much they own us for the most part. So I don't know if this was some bio weapon, situation where some of the Chinese military, because I've read somewhere that the Chinese military created this virus, and that as a biological weapon to devastate America, but the evil plot backfired when the bug escaped a top secret research lab in Wuhan. So that's what I believe. Yes.
Well, we had conversation about a week ago referencing this,
Right.
and I can't think of the gentleman's name that was a Harvard professor that was just arrested on I think Sunday, he was getting paid $50,000 a month from China, and he was taking the virus to Wu-Tang, China. And he got a Wuhan.
He said,
I'm trying to change the whole Wu-Tang clan,
Cash rules,
I know
everything
they're
around
saying,
me.
well, no, that's public enemy.
But that's true. It has to do with dollar bills.
Yeah,
It really does. So you're not too far off from that Wu-Tang reference.
I didn't mean
I
to
had to
call you
catch
out.
myself.
I didn't mean to call you out.
That's a good call out, though. That was a really good call out. Yeah, but at the same time, they I understand they arrested him in China, and but we haven't heard any more since Sunday. Or I haven't.
Well, what I heard today and what I read was them just completely knocking down it's false reports, it's just rumors, it's not true.
What about this guy?
About that Harvard
I
professor,
believe that.
They were
Yeah.
real quick to negate
Right.
and tear
Right.
down that story about how it's just rumors and
Right.
social media
See,
gossip.
they
that
put
type of
social
thing.
media out there for us to have this kind of access. Now all of a sudden this
Well, they're
inconsistent.
it's
it
doing
doesn't work. It's doing
exactly
exactly
what
the
they
hell they put
wanted
it out
it
there
to
to
do,
do. Right.
to confuse us and
That's
say
exactly
no,
right.
believe us.
Exactly.
The ever elusive us and they.
I know.
So
The ever-elusive. I like
Yeah,
that.
they're
I like
elusive.
that.
Yeah, who are they? Somewhere over there, they.
yes,
But again, it's kind of like I just don't believe that this has just come out of nowhere. And like you said, Daydream, it's political year and all these things come up. And now, while you guys may not believe in the National Enquirer, over the last several years, they have proven themselves to be quite upstanding
yes.
in their information. So this information here says coronavirus is Chinese bioweapon gone rogue.
I believe
And
it.
so they don't care about collateral damage. So if they kill a couple of million of their people,
And I don't
what the
believe
hell?
it was snuck out and accidental.
Oh, no, it was leaked.
it was purposely
it was
done.
leaked. That's exactly
Hey,
right.
let's see exactly what it's going to do. What better way to test out?
Well, it's
Well,
my
we're guinea
understanding-
pigs anyway, so it's just a matter
Absolutely.
of letting
The
us-
ultimate population, guinea pig population. Let's actually throw it out into the general public
Right.
and let's see how it plays out, how people panic, what their reaction is, and then we'll kind of do some damage
Now,
control.
if you recall, when we did the show a couple years back on the
Doomsday preppers
no,
and all
that not that one, but this is the one on Georgia Guidestones,
Yes.
where they eventually would plan to have one world order, one religion,
Correct.
one government, and they spoke then of there being too many people.
Absolutely.
They said the very first thing they had on the, and y'all can look this up, the Georgia Guidestones is in Airborne, somewhere Atlanta, just outside
Correct.
Atlanta, and it is written on 19-foot marble or granite
Yes.
sheets, and it is done in 5 different languages. So it's almost like a post-apocalyptic situation. So when you come back, you have rules already in place
Correct.
Right.
in which to
right.
follow, and they required 500 million people, and that was it. Anything over that, they consider overpopulated.
Wow. Well, I do know that they're trying to eliminate 2.5 million people.
Absolutely, and what better way to do
Yeah.
this than this?
Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
Right. And
It's just Thomas Hobbes.
Who's talking about? The guy he's talking about?
No.
The theory.
The theory of Thomas Hobbes.
Short,
Hobbes.
life is short, brutal, and nasty.
And that's all of that.
And so people who follow Hobbes believes that plagues, wars, and other man-made created disasters can hedge the population.
Well, I'm a conspiracy
Absolutely.
theorist. I've always maintained
it's
that.
not,
So
but
this
it's not conspiracy. There's actually.
I mean, that's
followers.
that. Well, see, that goes to my point that when we're talking, it's not necessarily theories anymore.
Mm-mm.
It is
Followers of
actually,
Thomas
yeah,
Hobbes.
it is
Exactly.
And a
actually,
lot of them are politics.
yeah, it's not theories anymore.
it's
you know?
conspiracy,
It's
analyzation.
and that's exactly what we call
That's
it.
exactly what it is.
Analysts. That's exactly
Because
what we call
think
them.
about it. Art is what is entertainment? Art imitating
Imitating
life.
life.
Life, which is life imitating art. It's all a vicious cycle. Look at all the movies that have some sort of airborne virus that plagues the entire world.
See,
Okay,
they're
outbreak,
giving you cues through the
contagion.
movies. I've always said this.
Absolutely, Ebola. Okay, that was the basis around outbreak, is it not? Around the Ebola virus, this, and then this monkey, and this cute little whatever, and somehow it got out or whatever. Okay, you have several books that also reference this, and when I did the research, there's at least 137 books that reference some sort of pandemic or airborne virus, something that cripples the
This
entire
is something they've been
world.
working on for quite some time.
You have Stephen King's The Stand.
Absolutely.
There's another book, I cannot remember the title, but Dean Koontz, and in there it specifically states an airborne virus originating out of the Asia continent
And that's where we are.
Interesting.
with
Middle East
flu-like
respiratory.
symptoms.
Yep.
What was the first movie that was titled? Was it Imitation of Life or something?
That's one of the old movies of a black lady that was asking for
Was
life or
that
something
one
like
of
that.
the
That was
major
Imitation.
first movies that would have it? Imitation of Life.
I don't know.
Yes,
not
that
mistaken.
is a.
So that had something
That had
like this
something.
in it. Really, I don't remember that.
I remember the title, but
Yeah.
I
I
don't
remember
know
the title. Yeah.
the plot on that.
But you know, again, through movies, they give you it's a foresight into what's happening. They're
Right.
giving you enough to where when it actually happens, you're not completely shocked. You're
But
not
this is
thrown
not
off
the first
kilter.
time this has happened.
It is not.
Yeah,
see,
I
this
mean,
is the
in
first
the
time that
1900s, they had a plague that killed 100 million people.
well, that's what they want to do with this. one.
Yeah,
right.
the
You know?
Black Plague,
Mhm.
bubonic
Bubonic
plague,
plague.
smallpox with Native
Oh
Americans.
yeah, and that's still not curable.
You know, it's
Really?
it's some
Right.
people you need to
They tell
realize
us.
what this is. But the question becomes:
Yeah.
is this biblically executed, or do you still, there is a correlation now between what the Bible says as it relates to pandemic diseases and
Mhm.
sicknesses. So, do you think that these people are actually following? Because sometimes I question religion. Not
I
so
don't-
much. I'm
We all do.
spiritual. I'm not so much
Yeah.
religious. So
Right.
I'm spiritual. So I question religion, and they use that as a way of controlling people. And
Right.
so with that, they bring all this stuff to us, and we think, again, the Bible says this, and so I don't
Again,
know if this is
fear-mongering.
pandemic.
Hell and damnation to all homosexuals and pray away the gay and all this other stuff. You just feed into that.
Right.
Do I feel that they're creating these biological weapons so that way it coincides with the good book? And
that's my
the
question.
Revelations?
If they're lining,
I don't believe so. I just honestly feel the way my faith is set up. I honestly feel that this is the book of Revelations coming to fruition.
Well, that's what I said. So
It's
I
playing
believe,
out exactly.
I believe
Do I
that
feel
they're,
that it's
they're
people
tying it in
wanting
together.
to tie it in? No, it's just how it's actually playing out because
Well, I
they
think
said
that-
this is what it
I
was,
think
what was
the
going to
elite,
happen.
or whomever it is, the people who are creating this, the Chinese, whatever, I think that they're playing along on our sympathies because,
Mhm.
America and most countries are somewhat very religious.
Yes.
And so a lot of people talk about the end times.
Correct.
So one of the main things that's supposed to happen in the end times is pandemic,
Hmm.
In
disease,
particular,
and
in the
sickness.
South.
And here we are.
And Americans are also very complacent.
Yes.
and so
we
they
used
play
to be,
along
we're
with
a
that.
sleeping giant. We used to be alert to see what was going on.
Yeah,
but
now
not
we're just
anymore.
asleep.
We're just asleep.
We're not even a giant
And
anymore.
that's
We're
why
not a force to
when
be
we say
reckoned with
woke,
at all.
And see, also Trump has been playing this down. He's minimized it. Oh, it's just the flu. It'll be over by the time the weather changes. How do you know?
We all know.
He must know something
he
we don't
is
know.
just the talking
How does
head.
he
He's
know?
the face. He's just a puppet. He
Yeah.
absolutely has nothing to do. He's just the entertainment. He's the smoke and screens. Because again, how coincidental is it
That
that
all of
there's
this
this
falls-
virus, and let's focus on all of this. Let's focus on the hundreds of people who have died versus the thousands of people who have died over, millions of people who died over cancer.
I know.
There's this new strain that came out of snakes, and here we are, in less than 2 weeks? Now we have a potential
Since
vaccine
Since
for it.
December.
We've had cancer for how long?
I told you.
And
we
there's
have
no
cure.
cure?
We have cures for
Come
all
on.
of those things.
Well, you got to understand too now.
Come on with the
Viruses
medical
have
thing, come
been have been on the face of the planet since the beginning of man.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah.
So we must understand that.
Yeah, it's
viruses
been
have
there. They've been here,
Yeah.
but I think now again we're weaponized.
But they were more biological, evidently.
Yes,
right,
at
yes.
that time. But at the same time, now we have viruses created manly every second.
Well, the laboratory is serious.
Oh,
From
very
your
serious.
from your foods to your health,
Right.
And so I also read that there was a journalist that was killed in China who was trying to research all of this.
Yeah, I heard something.
I didn't get a name or anything, and maybe you guys can look it up. But you know, if you know you're getting rid of the people who brought it here, you know, who leaked it. Now you're getting rid of the journalist that wants to report about it. So it's just not. I don't believe any of it. But again, it's what we have to go on. And I guess the next prophecy that may come to pass will be, you know, because in Revelations I could never understand when they spoke of people being slaughtered in the streets.
We're killing each other now.
Okay,
Yeah.
and having blood, you know, inches deep in the streets.
Right.
Absolutely.
Now, all of that stuff can very easily happen because for those who prepare for situations such as this, I got a text yesterday or something I received from, I think it was the Chronicle. Basically, all of the stores are out of water. They're out of, you know, dried foods. And see, we did a show a couple of years ago on prepping.
Correct.
And I think we may have that on our website.
Absolutely.
Because I told y'all 3 years ago, prepare for this because this now. I have friends who have not prepared. They come to borrow water and stuff, and see when those who have not prepared will go after those that did
Correct.
or that have prepared. And
Well,
see,
how long
that's
will they survive?
It's a literal
You
feeding
see what I'm saying?
frenzy.
How long will the people that survive that have prepared survive after those have not?
Well,
See,
then you
that's-
go
yeah,
back
but
to
that's
the
true. You got to
purge.
go back to the purge.
And we think
exactly
about those
right.
movies. This is
This
exactly
is
what they're
again
creating.
what they're setting up. for
Survival
you to-
of the fittest.
That's right.
Right.
You know, and we're going to kill each other off, supply and
Exactly.
demand. Let's.
Well, that is definitely what's going to happen. Because if even the aliens had hit the surface here, and the next thing they're afraid that people will stop working. Period. So that is what the real deal is.
Yeah, this is really sad that we have to live like this, and you know they've got all these names for it. The World Health Organization, and you know they're giving them novel,
Yeah.
you know, coronavirus and all this other stuff. But you know, again, I think today, you know, there was a concern at one point that was actualized today. It was the fact that they were concerned about it mutating, the strand mutating, once this has been exposed to a lot of people, to the population. Well, now I think it's something that says that it mutated already.
Oh,
Scientists
it is.
Yeah, so-
They have gotten to the point where they can control it, but then when it has mutated, it's gone to
It's
another,
gone to a whole nother level with a whole nother
Right.
strand.
Right.
This is all so orchestrated and timely because I don't know of any virus that could, a strand that could actually mutate that quickly.
Right. Like I said, within less than 2 weeks, there was, you know, a vaccine that's already been
Oh, they claim there's a
created
vaccine?
and promising. Yes, but you know, it's going to be at least a year before it's made available or
Well, you'd be
possibly
dead.
made available to the public. But come on, within 2 weeks.
Well, what I have here is that unfortunately there is no approved vaccine or antiviral treatment
Approved.
available for
You said it.
corona.
Approved.
Yeah, and that's the operative
FDA,
word.
money,
And, well,
money,
you talk about the
money.
FDA,
They don't
right.
have investors yet.
Okay.
Is what they're
Okay.
looking for.
So-
Well, there are a couple of things in truth there
Get in the mic.
that you know, as far as the what did you just say? The term
What?
as far as
The mutation?
Yeah, the mutations.
Mutation,
Yeah.
mhm.
We well, take up. I lost my thought.
Okay,
there,
it
'cause
happens,
I
it
had
happens.
gotten
Yeah,
too
but they
far
claim
into
there
it.
are no antiviral treatments is available right now, but a
Right.
better understanding of the life cycle of 2019 novel COV, including the source of the virus, now is transmitted and how it replicates, are needed to both prevent and treat the disease. Well, it's replicated now,
Yeah,
and so that's going to only get progressive,
right.
you know.
right.
And so I don't understand how they think that they don't have a handle on this after 60 years.
I know what it was.
Okay, bring it on in.
The Baylor, it was someone
You know, it
at
has something
Baylor
with the FDA
College.
too.
You're right. That's another thing. The Baylor College of Medicine had were the ones that found some form of a cure. And but we
For
hadn't
this
heard
coronavirus?
right, for the coronavirus, and I hadn't heard anything else. And that was about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. I haven't heard anything else about that. And at the same time, as far as the FDA is concerned, I've been bickering with them since 1977, referencing why do we name so many drugs so close, like Feldine, Seldane, things of that nature. They
confuse
just
you.
it's everything is too confusing, and we're at a very fast pace in this world. It's so easy to make a mistake to even cause death. You see?
See, and I feel like the reason why the names are so closely related is because that's how you created it. You started with the Ebola virus, and then it was Ebola 9, and of course I'm just making names up at this point.
That's what
But-
they,
but
that's what
that's
they do.
exactly.
Yeah, that's what they do.
But that's exactly how it started in
Right.
the movie Outbreak.
Right.
The Ebola virus was contained in a village. We grabbed the microorganism or whatever it is, and we've contained it, and we researched and studied it, and then we created a mutation from it that was X amount of times even greater and more fatal, and somehow it got released.
It's
from a
always
monkey.
somehow it's been released. This is all. Game.
Yeah, research labs and everything else. So it's like, well, we created it, but we didn't bother to create a vaccine or an antibody for it.
I found some information that they were speculating. some kind of
Seriously,
way-
because it's coronavirus.
Yeah.
You have the human coronavirus, and now you have COVID-9.
Yes.
Why? Because you created that. That was the 9th mutation
They said here
that you were happy
that
with.
there's 7 different kinds of human coronaviruses that exist, including 229E, NL63, OC43, and KHU1. And the CDC makes clear that on its site that the information they provide applies to common human coronaviruses and should not be confused with coronavirus of 2019.
See?
So they've labeled this one just for us, and it all happened at the end of December. Okay, so they could just do it in 2019.
Right.
Novel.
Right in line with
Right.
politics.
Okay, it's right in time. Right.
Right in time.
During the happy holidays,
yes,
and let's kumbaya
yes.
with each other and spin.
But you know what? All of this is all going to precipitate. It's going to precipitate just there being a social distance. You will no longer shake people's hand or hug them
That was
because
in the paper
now
today.
you're going. Me and my daughter talked about this a couple days ago because with everybody trying to buy these masks, there were masks on Amazon that was $200. You can't buy a mask anywhere, but they claim that the healthcare people and the people who actually have the coronavirus are the ones who need the mask, not the rest of us. But what we need to do, you were explaining something about the molecules or something, how it looks like, they said it looks almost like a tennis ball with these little
Well, actually,
tea.
to me, it looks like the tea that you put the
tea,
golf
the
ball,
ball
on
in.
top
That's
of.
what, yeah.
Yeah, and basically what it's trying to do is trying to attach itself to the protein inside of the cell. And if that is the case, then the nuclei is over, and the mitochondria is over,
For the most
and
part.
therefore you have death. So, but at the same time, we can get these Baylor meds that were concocted. We could possibly have something that would take away this disease state.
Well, all of this is upper respiratory.
Yeah.
So, could this possibly, I know this is going to sound kind of way over here. This is an upper respiratory, so it's for people who have, and the whole purpose of this coronavirus is to attack your lungs. And who best have lung issues than people who smoke?
Yeah, who smoke cigarettes?
Smoke cigarettes, smoke drugs. They legalized drugs. One time, people lost their lives. They couldn't get a business. They couldn't, find a job because they went to jail because of a half a bag of marijuana. Now our government is selling it. So again, they have you drugged up with marijuana. That too, and I don't know if that's laced. Now we don't know what we're dealing with, but again, I think it's all interconnected some kind of way because again, you have tons of smokers in this country and in other countries. So naturally, they might be among the first to actually, incur this coronavirus.
I think that's just a bunch of BS in order to
could very well be, but it's a theory, and that's all we all function
as
off
a
of.
way to keep them from legalizing marijuana. Why? Because it is a natural miracle drug.
Absolutely.
Well,
Okay,
let us know how you
insomnia,
really feel,
arthritis, inflammation, chronic pain,
Yeah, they don't want you to have it.
migraines, okay, anxiety, depression. So of course you don't want anyone. Think about it: cancer patients, hospice
Patients
patients,
smoke marijuana.
for their appetite,
For
for their
pain.
pain, for comfort.
Definitely for appetite.
So
Anxiety.
Right.
nausea. So yeah, absolutely. Oh well, let's tell them that this is gonna, if you're a smoker, you're more at risk. So let's not legalize marijuana. No, because you haven't maximized how to tax us on
Again,
it.
it's like anything else. Guys, there were cell phones.
Follow the money, people.
We have cell phones. We thought they came out in the 90s. It did not.
Nope.
They had phones out in the 40s and
Satellite
50s.
phones.
Well, with
and
everything,
everything
there's
else.
the benefits versus risk. And you have to
Well-
weigh those things. So I
Well,
mean,
the risk
if
is always
it-
greater for John Q. Public. The benefits are for those people, the elitists and the government who put
That
it
top
out there.
1%.
That's
or,
it.
Who can
That
afford it.
top
or
1%.
those that are suffering with what we just stated, anxiety.
Well, see, those people in Texas have those
Pain,
anxieties,
hunger.
but they can't have access. You got to sneak out of town and go to Colorado or California somewhere and come and go to a dispensary to actually buy drugs that will relieve you. And if you're caught coming across state lines with
Right.
that,
Oh, yeah.
And
Again,
if you by chance take a road trip, even if you bring nothing back, the fact that you cross state lines with a different license plate, you get stopped.
absolutely.
My brother got stopped coming in from what borders us? New Mexico, Arizona.
Right.
So he came in from West Texas. He crossed the state line in El Paso and immediately got pulled over. And they told him he had a rental car. He was coming from California, and he had a rental vehicle. And they straight up told him, because of your California license plate. He goes, but it was a rental. You know,
They don't care about
whatever.
that.
No, not at
Anything-
all. They're like, well, that was a free for all right there. Just because of his plate,
Plates.
but they said you didn't use a signal light or something.
Oh, they always make up some
Of course they always make
minute situation that doesn't
Of
work.
course. Thank you, Dwight, for tuning in. Dwight says a pandemic creates immediate economic infusion into
Absolutely.
pharmaceutical enterprises. It creates a bump similar to a war. Not militarization, but pharma at its best.
I sure do miss you on the show, Dwight, because
Again,
you always had great
Monday
advice. And so that's one of the reasons we have a pharmacist here, because we're
Absolutely.
going to, in a few minutes, talk about how, and I'm on some antibiotics right now because I had a little flu for a minute, which means I can't drink my champagne. But nonetheless, here we are back to the real world. You know, we make no penicillin in this country. All antibiotics, or most of the antibiotics, or the proponents for making antibiotics, is done in China.
Well, most of the
Imagine how
generics,
much.
most of
See,
the
and I get my
generics.
penicillin from
But
Mexico.
imagine how much power that is. That
Yeah.
China has.
Well, and they're able to make it a lot cheaper, and at the same time, the water is not purified. You know, just like in India, you know, the water is not purified.
It can be. It's
You
not
know.
like they don't have the technology. It's not like they do not have the resources. You have the technology to pull all kinds of oil and everything else from the ground, so that way
Well,
you
yes,
have
you
5 cents a
Well,
gallon on gas.
It takes
okay.
more time to do that, and the time is what
Is money
I would
at this
imagine
point.
is
How much
money.
more time do you need?
It's about money.
It's about
It's
time
a
is
simple.
money.
It's
Yeah.
simple hygiene issue.
Well, I would agree. I'm with you on that.
You know. So again, it boils down to population control.
Oh yeah.
Oh, also,
How
Yeah.
overly
Yeah.
populated is the Asian continent?
Oh wow, yeah. That's why I said they wouldn't mind having collateral, because again,
I mean, they already restrict how
They
many
already
kids they can
restrict that,
have,
right.
and whether they're male or female. If they're female, oh, they gotta go. Males, okay, we're good with you, but you can only have one.
Well,
see, we really.
yeah.
they
Oh,
have
two, I'm
now,
sorry,
I think
two.
Yeah,
Excuse
the government has allowed you to have two children.
The government,
The government
has
is too
allowed.
involved in, yes, the
See?
government has allowed you to have two
Do y'all hear
children.
this?
Yeah, but that's
Well,
real.
The thing is, in America, we can't afford it. You know,
Right.
so that's, I mean, two is max. You say, wow, I can't even afford two.
And not at the rate things are at this point, you know. And so, but guys, what's going to end up happening is that, you know, a lot of contamination. Now, I'm going to tell you something. They said that, and we'll go to break right after this. Is that one of the Amazon headquarters, somebody was found to have had the coronavirus at the headquarters at Amazon. Now, they do have a distribution center here out by Igloo, which is way out in Katy.
Yes,
And-
in Sealy, Texas.
and Sealy,
Closer to
Texas.
Well,
Sealy.
they have
Well, yeah, I used to
another
work out
one.
that
They have
way.
one out for Beltway.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
They sure do.
because
Distribution
because
center.
they had one when I was selling homes out that way. It was a 1 million square foot building.
Mm-hmm.
So now what's happening is they said that the possibility of this virus being able to last 9 days. So let's just say from the distribution center, someone from that place has the virus
Mhm.
and not knowing. They could deliver you. I'm curious now about packages and products coming in from China. And I think we have to consider that, because if you have Amazon Prime, they can pack that in 2 days. And if it lasts for 9 days, you can just unwrap your whatever it is and be exposed to it.
True.
So now what you're saying is leave the packages
I'm
unopened
not saying that. I'm
for
just
9 days, at
No,
least when
I'm
it
just-
arrives
I'm
to
just
you.
letting
And
people-
when you do open it,
No,
spray it down
we
with some
have-
Lysol.
we have-
Because that's what I'm going to do.
We
I'm
have-
not canceling my orders at this
we
point.
love immediate gratification. So
Right.
Yeah,
none
we
of
do.
us are able to just put it off to the side for 9 days.
Yeah.
We'd rather spray it down. But on that tip, guys, we got to go to break. We'll be right back.
I mean, doggone if I spit on my lip.
Right.
Don't get it twisted.
Yeah. Wow. I'm expecting another Sonos speaker any day now.
Okay, so you definitely don't want to unhappy with that.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do another live reading for Sam Houston.
You are listening to The Brilliant. Share your opinion by calling 713-789-0096. Stay tuned.
I pulled this out because I have this other phone and I broke the screen.
Uh-huh.
And like I went to get it fixed. I got this phone for free on my account. Like, don't pay anything. But when I went to get it, they told me the screen was gonna cost a minimum of $100 because the Samsung screens are coming from China. And you can't get the product.
I'm trying to tell you, they're gonna get us.
And you can't get the product part. And that was a discount because when I called other places, they were like $150, and we're talking about for a phone that's
Even in the hood,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's where I
because
started.
that's where I get my
That's where I
my
started.
screen. I'm always
Try to
breaking
get
my
one of these.
screen.
None of the other places had them because they ran out and then
What
they
kind
couldn't.
of
Or is that their excuse so that way they can jack up the price?
This literally is
Price
made.
gouging.
The screen is made in China.
No doubt. This entire phone is
Most
made
of
in
what
China.
we
All of
have-
our
Well, no, like the chips and
conveniences.
stuff coming from somewhere else.
But most of what we
Right.
have is China. You know?
China. Yeah. I remember a time we used to laugh at the product coming from China.
I know, right?
Let's
It's a
be
joke.
real. You
It's
had
a
a
joke.
You got that from China?
Where did you go? Like what location? Did they have to buzz you in with cameras? Those are the places I go to like I need you to fix my
Yeah,
phone.
but they can't.
Okay.
And I'm not paying $100.
They can't even get the part if they're out of it already. So if they have it, different. But if you're smart, you're gonna jack your price. No. Because this
Another way
one
to
they
price
charged me.
gouge.
This one was the high one, and they charged me way less. Like this, when I tried to get that one fixed.
But I bet the
And they're not
quote
the
free
same.
phone they gave you was an older model in comparison to that one, right?
This one? No, these are two different places. I got this from my phone.
No, but it's an older model of anything.
This is just Samsung. It's just a non-brand Samsung.
They
This
got
one.
non-brand Samsungs?
Yeah, it's just. I mean, it's a
With their
Samsung,
high
but it's
price
not
stuff?
like.
So you
it's
have a
not
burner
an
phone,
S10.
Joy,
It's
and what you're
not-
trying to say is you
Yeah.
have a burner phone? Because
Yeah, right.
that's what that sounds like.
Yeah, but
They're
see,
usually like, well, normally people
I'ma
throw them
kill
away
you.
and just buy another one. Yeah, that's why it's so expensive to replace it. They're like, fix. For what?
No,
Just
a
throw it
burner
away and
phone
get
costs
another.
$30.
What you say? I'm gonna kill you.
A burner phone costs $30 and you don't put it on the account.
Okay. Prepaid.
Why can they
hear y'all?
Anyway, yes. Okay, we go back on in about 10 seconds.
Live racing continues at Sam Houston Race Park with our 2020 live thoroughbred racing meet. Friday is 50-cent beer from 6 to 9 p.m. Sweets for as low as $2.99 for 10 people. Winter Circle Restaurant is the best deal in town. The Wild and Wacky Camel and Ostrich races return on both Friday and Saturday night. Camel and Ostrich races take place in between live racing events. First post times on Friday and Saturday are at 6:45 p.m. Sam Houston Race Park. Visit shrp.com for the season's full live racing calendar and promotions. Platinum partner, Bud Light. Please drink responsibly.
Okay, thank you for that reading. You know, guys, also you do know that the coronavirus affected greatly the Dow Jones.
Oh, without a doubt.
And
Oh, the
NASDAQ.
stocks, absolutely.
Yeah.
The first thing
went
it touched.
down like 2,600 points, okay?
Right.
And so, you know, and again, I'm just, you know,
Well, it's coming back up now.
I'm not seeing anything like that before.
Because of manufacturing.
Because of manufacturing.
Mostly done
We're
in
going to
China.
be in a world of trouble because, again, China does half of what we have. Half of what comes from Amazon is all from China. Walmart is all from China.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything's being affected. We were just talking, those who were not able to follow along with us on air, with our own engineer talking about trying to replace her phone screen. It's a Samsung phone screen. It doesn't matter what brand it is. Let's be honest. It's
Same.
all coming from Asia, okay? But about supply and demand because of import-exports, taxation, viruses, disease, that is affecting the price of replacing the screen on your phone.
Interesting.
This is going to be really something to deal with. And, you know, the only place, I think it has affected every country, every continent actually, except Antarctica.
Because it's too cold.
I was going to say it's too
Why are
cold for the
hospitals
virus.
freezing people to kill diseases?
But you still get staphylococcus and all these other things from being in the hospital. I don't know if that's a
Yeah, but if
Being
you're
cold-
in Antarctica,
being
you're
cool or
way
not.
too cold. You're not. There's
I
no
know. I agree with
body
that.
exposed,
I
no
agree with
skin
that.
exposed. You're not touching each other. Don't touch me. You're cold. You know? I mean, think about it. You don't want cold feet touching. Don't touch me. Put your socks on.
And something else, as I mentioned earlier, President Trump, a self-described germaphobic, said that on last Wednesday that he was amazed to learn that tens of thousands of Americans died from the flu, which I think there were like 18,000 or so last year. Each year, contrasting that number with the 60 or so known to be infected with the coronavirus. In other words, he's minimizing the coronavirus because, people
He's
die
not
with
an
the flu.
idiot.
Okay? He also says on Friday, Mr. Trump accused the news media and the Democrats of exaggerating the dangers of the virus.
You see?
At the same
I'm surprised
time,
he didn't blame Obama, because that's his go-to,
Well, the thing is that it is affecting predominantly already immunosuppressed senior citizens.
Yes.
People 60 plus, 70 plus, whatever the case may be. And those are the people that's really dying.
Yeah.
The nurse is
The nurse was 40. Yeah. So, I don't know what we can. The flu kills
What
people.
the nurse.
His guy says. He says the acting White House chief of staff said on Wednesday that the flu kills people. This is not Ebola. It's not SARS, which is severe acute respiratory syndrome, and it's not MERS, which is Middle East respiratory syndrome. It's not a death sentence. But for 3,300 people, it has been a death sentence.
It
You know,
is
they
if you're
both
poor
just
and you can't
minimize-
afford just basic health care. You can't go to the doctor, so I can't get a doctor to look and say, hey, you just need a cough medicine, or you need something to help release the mucus so we can get that out. A very simple fix is not that simple if you don't have
If
the
you don't have
economic
the access,
means.
right. Well, the coronavirus seems to be more deadly than the flu at this point.
Well, it's only up by, I think, 2% because the regular flu is like 1.1%, and it's up like about 3% only because of the gauging of deaths. It's nothing else. It's a more rapid pace of death than the
flu.
regular flu, right?
Right, that's what I understood also. But there was oh man, I lost my train of thought. It was right when you were talking. It was something we mentioned before we came on air.
Well, we got so
About-
much stuff we're trying
yeah,
to say.
I mean, all
you're
kinds of
trying to
stuff
get it
just
out.
going around.
And we're pressured a little
Yeah.
bit here.
It's just sad that we have to get to this point to where we're being given all this information to get hyped up, to
Right.
create panic.
Right. Oh,
You know?
there you go. That's what it was. It
Mhm.
went along the
Understand
lines.
what you
See,
read on
it went
back
along the lines of fear mongering, but it's all about pushing vaccinations. Because what's the first thing that within, like I said, within 2 weeks, it
We really
was,
trust
hey, we
them.
have a vaccine. No, you're not going to continue to pump me with needles because you say it's going to help you with this. It's going to help you with that. Okay, every year. Not even every year. Every 6 months, you're in my face about how I need and I have to get a flu vaccine.
Right.
This strain, a super strain. There's always a new super strain.
And the last time,
And yet, whenever you give me the vaccine,
it's not even for
real
that.
quickly and quietly
It's
and
never
fine
for-
pretty.
It's never for that
What does it
strain.
say? It's for this 12 different strains of flu. Not currently.
Not the one
not
that
for
you're-
the
not the
current
one that's
flu
going
that's
around.
Yeah.
You know,
come on.
This is all a process,
It-
and I don't understand why.
I think it's just a way to scare people into forcing them to get vaccines that they don't need. Why? Because we are guinea pigs, people.
Absolutely,
Oh, yeah.
We
We've
are
been guinea
one
pigs.
big lab
One big
testing.
lab.
That's
We've
all we
been
are.
that for years. And
Yeah.
one time it was just, I know blacks in Tuskegee and military men were given Agent Orange and all these other things and
Right.
syphilis and
Right.
everything else as guinea pigs.
Even our military,
Yeah.
with all the anthrax and everything else of vaccines that they were given, and they're we admit it was an experimental drug, but it was the best at the time. Okay, but you didn't bother to tell anybody.
You didn't tell
at the
anybody.
time.
You just overtly-
I'm glad you mentioned anthrax. I stopped eating lamb at the latter part of last year just because anthrax was embedded in sheaths in the sheep's
The wool.
clothing. The
Really?
wool, yeah.
Oh, see, I didn't even know that.
See,
Yeah.
it's
See, I have a retired. He's a retired drill sergeant, but he had severe migraines until when his last tour of duty over in Iraq, and now he's like, I don't know what happened. He goes, but I have no migraines. He goes, I barely get a headache unless he's hungover.
well, that's
But it was everything that they shot him up with. So he's like, we're good.
Yeah, they just, again, the military are testing ground,
Well, that's severe testing ground.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Especially when they're sitting there, hey, what about this? Oh, no, you're fine. That was their response. Oh, no, don't worry about that. Y'all are fine.
But the fact that this information was withheld from you as to what they were giving you, it could kill some people. They didn't care. It's just, we need to find out what, on a certain test market,
it
what
was
the
all for
results
the
are.
greater
It's
good.
all for the greater good. Yeah, that's what I said. If you're collateral, oh well, it doesn't really matter. And they said that each person with the coronavirus appears to infect 2.2 people. Okay?
Good stats.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. But, hopefully this will...
So what, mom and the fetus she's carrying?
Okay, whoever, if somebody gets the
Right.
2 people.
I haven't heard anything yet about it being able to cross the blood-brain barrier if a woman was pregnant. That blood-brain barrier is that wall that protects the infant.
In utero.
Yeah, it's a monster. It's a lot of things that just can't cross that.
Okay, so that might,
Yeah.
baby may be safer
Amniotic
than the
fluid,
mom.
the-
Yeah, maybe
yeah,
safer than the mom.
All right.
Yeah,
I mean, it's safe with HIV.
Yeah, that's true. Wow. Well, guys, all we can tell you is that, again, you need to get some water, if you can. My neighbors were telling me that they'd gone to Sam's. Sam's was out of water. Costco's was out of water.
H-E-B
H-E-B
has
is out
been
of
putting
water.
limits. Well, they've been putting limits on antibacterial and sanitation.
You can't find you can't
Yeah,
find Lysol bleach.
Right.
You definitely can't find the mask.
You definitely can't find the mask.
I mean, not
Yeah.
over the counter. You can't find the mask. I've seen online. It may take a while, a little bit longer on shipping, but they have things there. I know a lot of people,
Well, all that comes
construction
from
and
China. All
painters.
those stuff. All that
Right,
stuff comes from
construction, painters, those who do a trade, they're good because they're like, oh man, I got that
They
in my
got a
toolbox.
thousand
We're
of
good.
those, yeah.
We've got all kinds of this, all kinds of that.
Right.
But the whole idea is to keep your hands, clean. Keep your hands away from your face because they said that it can come in through your nose.
But a lot of
and
this
through
stuff
your
is
mouth.
common sense.
Wash your hands.
Wash your
It is
hands.
common sense, but the
Do-
world is.
Do you
Yeah.
understand? Within the last week
She
alone,
getting serious about this, right?
at work, just in the last week alone at work, okay, I serve drinks all day, people. I mix alcohol all day long, and do you know, just from our restroom attendant who was like, oh man, those guys didn't wash their hands.
Yeah, people are
The
serious.
urinal flushed, everything else, zipper, belt was, you hear all this going on,
And
so I
they're
know what
gone.
you did in there, but you walked out and he was like, hey, buddy, there's a sink right here, let me,
Let's
soap
go
water,
back.
oh, no, I'm good, I'm all right, brother, and they walked
No,
off.
you're not.
Ew, no, you're not, because then you walk up to the stage and what are you doing? Don't touch me. Do not reach
People
into
are-
my fruit
People are
tray.
gonna have a sign that
There's
says, "Don't
toothpicks
touch
for a
me."
reason. Don't touch anything.
Well, they had another deal on the news today or internet referencing no hugging. No,
That's what I said.
No, rather handshaking.
Or elbow
And
fist
do you
bump.
all understand
fist bump,
how
elbow bump.
detrimental it is to not have human touch?
Yes, they're creating a whole nother
Or even
situation.
animal touch.
They're
Right.
creating a whole nother.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is all by design, people.
Yeah.
Use your better judgment. Stay clean. Keep your hands
They've already taken
washed.
away social skills.
Yes.
Okay,
And
because
so now,
people don't know how to greet each other.
Well,
Hello, how are
well,
you?
Yeah.
They look at you like,
what a precipitation of this allows people to not even communicate with each other.
Exactly.
There is no eye contact anymore. So
It
I can
isn't.
see how the next level of prophecy through the Bible will present itself.
Mhm.
People don't care about you. They have no connection to you.
None.
So now if you have to fist bump and do your elbow thing,
Right. Or it's
Right.
out. The human effect is gone.
that's gone. And once you take that away,
yeah, and they're telling people to self-quarantine. If you're feeling, a cough or little sniffles, go ahead and self-quarantine.
Yeah.
You're supposed to put yourself in isolation. You're supposed to put yourself in solitary confinement, people. There's a
People do
reason
have
why
to
it's
work.
cruel and unusual punishment, and you're only allowed a maximum number of hours.
in
You
order
have
do
to
that.
let those people out and let them see daylight and have some sort of human interaction.
Like
There's a
this.
reason for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
guys, they're trying to take away your civil liberties.
They're breaking you down.
They're breaking you down, and
Well,
like I
actually,
said,
they're not trying.
they're doing a damn good job
Yeah,
of it.
they
And
really
so
are.
if you
'Cause
allow
we're
this to
letting them.
happen, if you
Sheeple.
allow this to happen,
Sheeple.
yeah, that's exactly what we are. We've become sheeple and we have been dumbed down.
You know
Yeah,
why? You know
absolutely.
why they named? You know why they?
Because sheep are
biblically
dumb.
speaking- Well, not only
They
that.
need
not only
something.
that.
What?
Not only
They
that.
need
They only
shepherd?
they see first of all black and white, and they can only see 3 feet in front of them.
Well, it's stupid, like
Oh,
I said.
Makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. Now, you know, if you missed this show, part of the show, it doesn't matter. We're on our live Facebook feed. Go back, replay the show. We always comment. Just because the show ends does not mean that the conversation ends. We've also had different shows throughout the years in regards to this type of topic, doomsday prepping. So go to our website. You can find all of our past shows on there, www.allaboutyouShow.info. That's all about you, the letter U, show.info. And of course, again, comment. Let us know your thoughts, opinions, anything. We're all about
The more
sharing
information,
information
the
and
better.
giving that information out to everyone.
And Steve Woodfield, thank you for joining us
Thank
today.
you for
We
inviting
appreciate
me.
having you on the show.
Thank you for inviting
And guys, get your medicine in advance because pretty soon it is going to increase
be none of that
exponentially.
either.
You won't be able to afford it at some point.
Wash your hands with soap, people. Wash your
Alright.
hands with soap.
Alright.
Don't rinse them. Don't get them
Wash
wet.
your
Wash
hands.
your hands with soap and cover your mouth when you yawn, you cough, you sneeze. All of it.
He's so emphatic about it. And on that tip, guys, we will
Gross.
see you next week.
All right.
Yeah, they created a situation for now. And like I said, with no human touch, no hugging, that's gonna be some things. Like I said, that's gonna make people be able to kill each other and not think anything of it. You're just
Exactly.
Yeah, that creates that.
that creates that
Social
detachment.
right?
That's exactly right.